Hello again everyone, welcome back to ptet.chemistry channel. So this is part 2 of this combined science where the three sciences are combined into one subject, and as such the contents are a bit introductory for the 14 to 16 years old chemistry learners. So this is part 2 of this environmental chemistry, which is to do with, well, everything to do with the environment. Previously we talked about water, the chemistry of water and the chemistry of the air. Here we will continue about these air pollutants. So these are particles, they are in the air. We know that clean air, we talked about this in the last lecture tutorial. You have it in your lecture notes as well. Clean air, clean dry air should have around 78% nitrogen, which is a diatomic molecule, and 21% oxygen and 1% other gases, which include some noble gases and also carbon dioxide, which you are breathing out, as well as some noble gases, which are monoatomic, whereas these are diatomic molecules. That you will see that these total up to 100%. 78 plus 21 is 99, plus 1%, they give you the 100% there. Now we have to be able to state the source of each of these pollutants. So this question could be a very easy 2 to 3 marks question, or it could be a fill in the blank. It could be mix and match, where they try to match the pollutant as well as the source. So we look at carbon dioxide. That comes from complete combustion. This is an important keyword. Combustion means burns in oxygen. Complete. You only can get carbon dioxide if you have complete combustion of carbon containing fuels. Most fuels, if you read the news at all, like our country Brunei produces oil and gas. We are a hydrocarbon producing country. Hydrocarbon contains carbon, so most fuels will have contain carbon as well. Now the next thing, which is very important, and the difference is carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide has got one oxygen, whereas carbon dioxide, previously the term dioxide means two oxygen. We are breathing out carbon dioxide, there is CO2. Carbon monoxide has only one carbon and one oxygen. This is called carbon monoxide. The key difference there was this comes from complete combustion, give you carbon dioxide. Incomplete combustion will give you carbon monoxide. Be very careful. Incomplete means not enough oxygen. If you don't have enough oxygen, you won't go to carbon dioxide, and therefore you have lesser oxygen. Complete combustion means you have excess oxygen, you have enough oxygen, and therefore your fuel will burn completely, and therefore you will get carbon dioxide. Your fuel don't have enough oxygen, will not burn completely, you get carbon monoxide. Next up, we have this thing called methane. Methane from your year 9's dot and cross diagram. You know it is CH4. Carbon is in group 4. So carbon being 2, 4. Hydrogen being 1 valence electron only. If you think about the valency, we need to fill up the valence shell. So these 4 electrons, it needs 4 electrons to be shared, because these are non-metal, and non-metal they will share electrons because they will form covalent bonding. Okay, so this one, the first shell, only need 1 electrons. When you do the cross multiply or the crisscross of the valency, the combining power, what you get is you need 1 carbon and you need 4 hydrogen. And if you have 1 carbon and 4 hydrogen, you get CH4. And CH4 dot and cross will actually look like carbon dot cross hydrogen, 1 covalent bond, dot cross hydrogen, another covalent bond, dot cross hydrogen. So altogether you've got 1, 2, 3 and 4 covalent bond. Carbon form 4 covalent bond because carbon is from group 4 with 4 valence electron. They need to share 1, 2, 3 and 4. They need to share 1, 2, 3 and 4. This is a very common dot and cross in your year 9 syllabus. Okay, carbon dioxide is got a carbon oxygen double bond. Carbon oxygen double bond. Carbon again share 4 electrons, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Carbon form 1, 2, 3 and 4 covalent bonds. Oxygen is in group 6, therefore it just needs to share 1 and 2 electrons to complete the outer shell. Of course, you should be able to do these from your year 9 dot and cross diagram. So I have just drawn completely. The 4 dot refer to the carbon. The oxygen uses 2 out of 6, so I still have 4 more electrons on the oxygen. Complete the outer shell electrons. Very, very common in year 9 chemistry. As I mentioned, carbon dioxide comes from complete combustion of carbon containing fossil fuels. Very important, as stated in the syllabus, carbon containing fossil fuels. Carbon containing. Just because you burn fuels does not mean you have carbon, so make sure you add carbon containing fossil fuels. Complete combustion, enough oxygen. You have enough or excess oxygen. Oxygen is O2. We have only about 21% oxygen in the atmosphere. Now, incomplete combustion, not enough oxygen. If you don't have enough oxygen, you will not form carbon dioxide, and therefore you just get carbon monoxide, which is one single oxygen, carbon dioxide, two oxygen. Di refer to two, diatomic molecule, two atoms bonded together, dioxide, two oxygen, monoxide, one oxygen. Now this thing, incomplete combustion of carbon containing fossil fuels, just like the combustion of the carbon containing fossil fuel completely will give you carbon dioxide. What is the effect of the pollutant? Because you need to be able to state the source, where do they come from, and what is their bad effect. Adverse mean very bad effect, very harmful effect. Adverse mean harmful or bad or terrible effect. So not just where they come from, but also what is their effect. This will lead to increased global warming, and this is basically the earth is getting hotter and hotter every year, and this leads to huge climate change around the world. This happens, so basically carbon dioxide, increased global warming leads to climate change. Carbon monoxide, which comes from incomplete combustion of carbon containing fossil fuels, is a toxic gas. So people have died because of carbon monoxide poisoning. So it's important to have a carbon monoxide detector in the house, because you can't smell it. It's colorless and it doesn't have any smell. Therefore, if you have a detector, it can tell you if carbon monoxide is present. But if you don't have a detector, it will just kill you, and then you will not wake up again. You just go to sleep, and it's toxic to you. It will kill you. Okay, it's toxic gas. Methane comes from decomposition of vegetation and also waste gases from animal digestion. So basically, in countries where you have a lot of cows, so cows, they are the cattle, they are the cattle that give you the milk, so the cows, so those are a huge number of animals, and then they give off a lot of methane. And countries which are very heavy in agriculture, they grow a lot of vegetation. When the vegetation goes bad, when they decompose, they release a lot of methane gas as well. And this methane gas, just like carbon dioxide, they cause the same danger, global warming, resulting in climate change. Global warming, the whole world is getting hotter. Okay, last but not least, when you burn plastic, these harmful gases are really bad from burning plastic. These are toxic gases. So from this thing, there are two gases that are toxic. Toxic gas are the carbon monoxide with one oxygen, as well as the gases from the burning of plastics. There are two gases that cause global warming, the first of which is carbon dioxide, and not just the carbon dioxide that you breathe out, but the extra carbon dioxide that you get by going out to burn carbon containing fossil fuels completely, and therefore you will get carbon dioxide. And the other thing is methane, that comes from vegetation decay, that comes from waste gases from animal digestion. This thing causes global warming, the whole world is getting hotter, and this results in climate change in many other countries all around the world. Now the very next bit is, how do we reduce global warming? To decrease global warming, we have to think about increasing the use of renewable resources. So oil and gas is not renewable. So oil and gas, basically they are fossil fuels. So fossil fuels, once you use them up, they will not come back again. They are non-renewable. Non-renewable means once you use them up, they are gone. Renewable means you can use them again and again, you can regenerate them. Of course, the other strategy would be decrease the use of fossil fuels. So you will have heard of companies like Tesla. So Elon Musk is a very popular guy. So he runs the Tesla electric car company. So those electric cars don't run on the traditional fossil fuels. They don't run on the petrol. They run with electricity. Now, of course, the other options are like limiting deforestation. Deforestation means cut down forests. Okay, so you don't want to cut down too many forests, because the more trees you have, the more photosynthesis you have, and photosynthesis will take away the carbon dioxide. If you don't have enough trees, the carbon dioxide stays longer in the atmosphere, and those are greenhouse gas that can cause global warming. the whole world is getting hotter and hotter. Last but not least, remember that livestock is basically animal. If you farm a lot of animals, if you keep a lot of animals, you're gonna release a lot of methane gas from the animal digestion, and methane gas can cause global warming, resulting in climate change. So you have to limit or reduce livestock farming. That's why a lot of people who believe in climate change, they devoted themselves to being vegetarian because they don't want to eat meat, because they don't want to support livestock farming, because by supporting livestock farming, because you eat meat, you eat cows, you eat lambs, you eat a lot of different kind of meat, that means you will have to grow the animals. Well, I mean, not really grow the animals, but rear the animals, and livestock farming will create and produce a lot of methane gas. That's why those people go vegetarian, to prevent or to reduce livestock farming. Okay, now this is a very important definition. Global warming, the whole world is getting hotter. This is an increase in the earth temperature. These are a result of greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases, there are two examples just now in the previous page of the note. The two gases that result in global warming: carbon dioxide and also methane gas. So know the name and know the formula. Methane is CH4, carbon dioxide is what you are breathing out, and of course, to cut down methane, you just limit deforestation. To cut down methane, you reduce livestock farming. To cut down CO2, you decrease the use of fossil fuels, because when you burn fossil fuels completely, that means you will get carbon dioxide. When you cut down forests, you will have lesser photosynthesis that will take away the carbon dioxide. Okay. Now, in terms of the strategies, they were just basically what I just mentioned. Renewable energy means they don't get used up. So not like fossil fuels, once you use up, they are gone forever. But the wind, the thermal, and the solar energy, they are renewable resources. To decrease the use of fossil fuels means to rely on electric cars, to rely on companies like Elon Musk, the Tesla company. So those cars don't run on the traditional fossil fuels, they run on electricity. They are called electric vehicles. To limit deforestation means do not cut down a lot of trees. Countries like countries like Argentina and Brazil have a large areas of forest called the Amazon rainforest. We here in Brunei, we also have a large area of forest in Temburong. So we don't want to deforest the whole of Temburong, because they will remove a lot of trees. They would cut down a lot of photosynthesis. That means we will have a lot of carbon dioxide that cannot go away. Therefore, Brunei is only going to get hotter if you cut down all the trees in Temburong. Okay, to reduce livestock farming, so all the cattle and the cows, they give off a large amount of methane. So methane is a greenhouse gas that causes global warming. If you reduce livestock farming, as I said earlier, people who believe in climate change, they do their part by going vegetarian, so they no longer eat meat. If you don't want meat, therefore people will try and reduce livestock farming, because less and less people want to eat meat, and therefore this will prevent, or this will reduce the large amount of methane we have that causes global warming. Okay. Last but not least, this is the very last thing in this topic on environmental chemistry. They just want the candidates to be able to state that hydrogen oxygen fuel cell is good, because hydrogen oxygen fuel cell mean it generates energy, because you use it as a fuel, it generates energy. And this is a result of a reaction between hydrogen and oxygen gas. So this is your reactant. Reactants will react. The reactants react and they produce your product, which in this case is just water. So this is water, this is oxygen gas, and this is hydrogen gas. The above is just the balance equation. When you think about the dot and cross, because you know about dot and cross of hydrogens, they share one electrons to complete the outer shell. Oxygen, I already shown you earlier previously. So oxygen form double covalent bond, because oxygen wants to share 2 out of 6 valence electrons to complete the outer shell. So the same goes for the other oxygen, and I get this oxygen-oxygen double bond, hydrogen-hydrogen single bond, and of course water. Water is another thing they like to ask you to draw. So this is the display formula. The dot and cross of water, single covalent bond there, single covalent bond there, and then you get 2 remaining lone pairs, meaning 2 electrons on the oxygen get used up. So you've got 6 because you have group 6 elements. Oxygen is 2, 6. Hydrogen is 1 electronic configuration, year 9 chemistry, periodic table given in exam. This is your first shell, and then 6 is your second shell, whereas the hydrogen is just occupying the first shell, and as such, oxygen needs 2 electrons to complete the outer shell, and 2 is the valency, and 1 is the valency, but you need to crisscross in order to find out how many of each atom that you need. These were year 9 chemical formula. Sorry about that. Year 9 chemical formula, you need 1 hydrogen, you need 1 oxygen, and then you need 2 hydrogens, and that is why the formula of water is H2O. So 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen, dot and cross there. Oxygen shares 2 electrons that form 2 covalent bonds, 1 and 2. Hydrogen form 1 covalent bond because hydrogen only share 1 electron there to the oxygen. That's why you need 2 hydrogen. Anyway, drawing dot and cross is year 9. Getting the formula and knowing the formula is year 9. This is a compound. These are element and element. When hydrogen and oxygen combined, they give you water. You saw this reaction when you test for hydrogen. The test for hydrogen gas is using a burning splint. Okay, you use a burning or a lighted splint that still have the fire going. So burning and lighted splint, they will burn with a pop sound. So they burn with a pop sound. That reaction actually generates a large amount of energy. That reaction releases energy. That is why this is called an exothermic reaction. Exothermic reaction was something that you learned in the last 2 topics. Exothermic reaction means the reaction release heat energy. The reaction release heat energy, and we will get a higher temperature outside. We will see an increase in temperature. You use it as a fuel cell because it generates energy. Fuel, you want the energy to come out. When you burn hydrogen and oxygen, it's an exothermic reaction because it generates energy, it produces energy, and the outside is going to get hotter, and you get water as the only chemical product. You don't get steam, you get water. And this water is liquid water, and it is clean. There is no carbon dioxide. Water is water. It's good. It's not carbon dioxide. It's not greenhouse gas. It does not cause global warming, but CO2 does. Okay, now describe the advantages and disadvantages. Advantages, what is good about this fuel cell. Disadvantages, what is bad about this fuel cell. Okay, describe, and these are plural, so you need to know at least 2 good points, and you need to know at least 2 bad points in order to be able to get 2 to 3 marks for this kind of question. Here are just a couple of advantages. Highly efficient. If you do physics, you need to talk about energy efficiency. So this is very exothermic, release a large amount of energy, highly efficient. The most important one is pollutant-free or pollution-free because water is the only product, no carbon dioxide, no greenhouse gas, only water. Hydrogen plus oxygen give you water. Okay? Now they work indefinitely. As long as you have the hydrogen and oxygen, they will work forever. Okay, as long as you have the hydrogen and the oxygen, they are your reactant. In terms of disadvantages, very expensive. They are very, very expensive, and they require high temperature to react. So difficult to react, high temperature to react. Very expensive technology. Disadvantage, bad points. Just one question to wrap up this concept of hydrogen-oxygen fuel cell. So it's called hydrogen-oxygen fuel cell because the hydrogen have to react with oxygen. Remember, hydrogen H2 have to react with oxygen, which is O2, and you get water, which is H2O. And of course, you need to know how to draw dot and cross. Of course, you also need to know how to balance equations. 2H2 plus O2 give you 2H2O. And year 9, you also learn something called reacting masses, where you are expected to work out MR as well as reacting masses. What is the difference between MR for 1 unit and the reacting masses based on how many of these molecules actually react in the balance equation? Anyway, going back to this question, hydrogen is used as a fuel. That is correct because hydrogen and oxygen combine together to give you water. This reaction release energy is exothermic. You use it as a fuel cell to generate energy. This is a reactant. Okay, the other reactant, of course, is oxygen gas. When hydrogen burns in air to form water, heat energy is produced. It is this heat energy. So the energy gets converted, the heat energy gets converted to electrical energy, and that is why you can use hydrogen oxygen fuel cell to power vehicles, to power spacecraft, going to outside space. So this heat energy, because this reaction is exothermic, release heat energy, gets converted to electrical energy, and you produce water. So this is also correct. So both statements are correct. However, you need to read the second bit. So I can cross out C and D. It is the reason why you can use as a fuel is because you produce heat energy. That is why you can use as a fuel. Fuel means you must produce energy. When we burn fuel, when we burn fossil fuels, they give us energy. They give us energy to power our power plants. They give us energy to drive our cars. That is the very reason when they produce heat energy, they are very good as a fuel. So they do explain statement 1. So this is correct and correct. The very reason why you can use as a fuel is because you produce heat energy. When you combust the substance, hydrogen burns in oxygen, exothermic reaction, release heat energy. Okay, that marks the end of these tutorials, this 2-part lecture series on environmental chemistry. We started talking about the environmental chemistry of water. We talk about the treatment of water in terms of these processes that we talked about in the first lecture. We also talk about the composition of the nitrogen, 78% and 21% oxygen in the air, and the remaining gases, 1% made out of noble gases and carbon dioxide. In this lecture, we also talk about the sources and the very harmful effects of these 4 different air pollutants as stated in the syllabus. 2 of them are toxic gas that can kill you, and the different source where you come from, whether you get complete combustion when you have enough oxygen, carbon dioxide is produced, not enough oxygen, incomplete combustion, get carbon monoxide. The methane comes from vegetation decay as well as livestock farming, the animals. These 2, carbon dioxide and methane, they cause global warming. Global warming is when the earth temperature gets hotter and hotter, and this results in climate change, and therefore we want to try and decrease or reduce global warming. We prevent cutting down forests. We try to encourage the use of renewable energy like solar power, like wind, like wind or solar power. We try and decrease the use of fossil fuels like petrol and stuff, so we can go for the use of electric vehicles like those produced by Elon Musk's Tesla company. And then we try to reduce livestock farming such that people who believe in climate change, they already resorted to being vegetarians so that we don't eat as much meat, and therefore farmers will not try and rear so many livestock. Last but not least, I also talk about hydrogen oxygen fuel cell. Very importantly, hydrogen burns in oxygen in a very exothermic. They release a large amount of energy, and this heat energy gets converted to electricity, and this allows you to run vehicles or to run spacecraft, and a few advantages: very efficient, pollution free, you only produce water, no carbon dioxide, and they can work for a long time as long as you have the hydrogen and the oxygen as the reactants. Disadvantages, the downside, the bad side of fuel cell, expensive and high temperature to react. Okay, thank you for watching. Don't forget to click the button on the bottom right to subscribe to my channel. Follow me at ptet.chemistry. There's at ptet.chemistry on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Telegram to get connected. I'll see you in the next tutorial video. Don't forget to check out the set of question tutorials, work 1 and work 2 associated with this topic as well. I'll see you in the next tutorial video. Thank you for watching.